Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse. I'm Jesse, and today we're going to try to add some logic to our game that we were working on earlier in the week. Let me go to the live chat real quick and say hello. Oh wow, there's a lot in the live chat already. Dev Gupta asks if I teach React while streaming and if I do a new project every time. No, we work on the same project usually over a series of streams, and I do try to explain a little bit what I'm doing. So it's not really a tutorial, but hopefully you'll learn a little bit about React as we go through the project. Noble and Savage says, "Hi Jesse, you beautiful SOB, you," with a little heart emoji. Thank you, I appreciate that. Alright, let's see. I'm skipping through a lot. There's just a lot of message retracted stuff, so that was most of everything that's on here. Alright, and then a couple questions about what we're going to learn about. So, yeah, we're using React Native Web, and that's basically the same as React Native, but our target, right, instead of Android or iOS, our target is the DOM, right, the web. So we're building a web app using React Native. Why would we want to do that? Because eventually, first we're going to build a web app, but then we're going to also make Android app and maybe an iOS app out of this, and we'll be able to do that with pretty much the same code. So I'm aiming for 90+% of the same code to be used everywhere. Alright, so here's the code, but let me start with the UI just to give a refresher, and for everybody that hasn't seen it yet, I'll show you the UI. I'm going to start this Pomodoro timer. Okay, when I start this timer, that means for the next 25 minutes I'm going to focus mainly on the code, and I'm not really going to look at the chat very often. After this timer goes up, I'm going to go back to the chat and try to catch up on all the questions there. So if you have a question, just hang in there, and I'll get to it in about 25 minutes. So here's our UI. Basic concept is we have our hero over here, we have our enemies over here. You're given a math problem. If you get the problem right, one of the enemies disappears. If you get all the enemies to disappear, you win. If you get the problem wrong, a new enemy appears. Right? So the logic that we want to make today is we want to verify that the user has the right answer or wrong answer, right, when they enter something in and hit submit. And we want to generate random math problems, right? We're only going to worry about addition for now. That'll be our proof of concept, our MVP, right, is just going to be addition problems, right? And that'll basically be level 1. Single digit addition is usually where they start children out. So that'll be level 1 of our math game. Okay. Let's go to the code, and let's decide what we want to do first. I'd say the first thing I think it'd be easier to do is let's stick with a hard-coded math problem, 2 + 2. And then let's try to verify a correct answer first. And then if there's a correct answer, we'll remove this. If one of these enemies, if it's a wrong answer, we'll add an enemy. Once we get that down, then we'll add in basically changing the problem every time. Yeah, every time there's a submission, we change the problem. Okay, that'll be step 2. So step 1 is just verifying the answer. Okay, so our entire app right now is pretty much just this app.js file. For the purposes of the stream, it's easier to have everything in this file right now. Once it starts to get too complicated, we can break some of it out, but this just kind of simplifies. There's way less clicking around in different files. Because I want the font size to be big enough for you all to see, I can't really have screens side by side, so it does make it harder to have multiple files open. Alright, so we already have our controlled input, so we know what the input's going to be, and it's going to be, in state, it's going to be text. Now, let's change that. Text was what we copied and pasted in here from an example of a controlled input, but really, it's going to be a number, right? So let's call it answer. Might eventually, when it gets more complicated, it might make it a bit easier to reason about if we say answer. Is state answer. Okay, so now the value of this input is whatever this state answer is, and then every time the text is entered, it changes the state of answer, right? So on change text changes the state, and a change in state triggers a change in value, right? And that's the concept of a controlled input in React. Okay, so we have that, and our submit button right now is just console logging, well, this text, but really it's going to be answer, but we're going to get rid of this console log, because on submit now we're going to check. So let's say this dot check answer, right? So now let's make check answer. Oops. And we're going to use an arrow function here for check answer. I forgot an equals. There we go. So we're going to use an arrow function. I definitely recommend using arrow functions inside your class components, because it helps to reason about the value of this a lot easier, and you don't have to worry about binding this somewhere else. So I prefer this sorry, I prefer arrow functions in this case. Alright, so when we check the answer, we're going to say alright, so for now it's going to be 2 plus 2. Let's see how we're going to do this. I guess we could just say this state answer equals to, where's the plus? Sorry, the keyboard I'm using on this computer, like for streaming, is just it's different, so my typing's a little off. Okay, and actually, so like right now this is very simple. Check answer is just going to return true or false. Actually, yeah, let's change that a little bit. Check answer returns true or false. We don't want to return that though. We want to say alright, so we're going to say let correct equal, so basically this is going to return true if it's true, obviously false if it's false. So if correct is true, then we'll say if correct, we're going to call this dot remove enemy, else we're going to call dot add enemy. Okay, so we haven't created these yet. We need to though. So I'm going to add enemy, remove enemy, and then no matter what, we need to, after that, say this dot new problem. So we're going to actually, let's put this outside of it since we're going to do it no matter what. So new problem. So every time we check an answer, no matter what happens, we're going to get a new problem, and then depending on the whether the answer is right or wrong, we're going to either add or remove an enemy. Okay, and yeah, that's going to run. Okay. Alright, I'm just going to save this just to make sure we don't have any like syntax errors going on. Okay, everything looks good. Let me check my timer too. Okay, in about 15 minutes I'm going to go back to the chat. And let's create some of these, remove enemies, add enemies. I think I may want to do it like this. Enemy enemies. How about this? How about number of enemies? So we're going to start, we're going to start with 3 for now. And then our remove enemy and add enemy is just going to affect the state. So we can say remove enemy, we'll do this dot set state, and we're gonna say number of enemies is gonna be number of enemies plus, oops, -1. Sorry, I almost added 1. Okay. And for this one, we'll just do a plus sign. And we'll change this to add. Okay. Alright, so now we should be able to test out whether or not this is working. We're not doing anything with the UI yet. We haven't defined this. We'll probably get an error when I try to do that. So let's define this at least. Oops. New problem. Okay. So new problem for now is just gonna console log something. Console log new just to make sure it's working. Alright, okay. So let's try this. So let's look at our state. So here's our, you can't, oh yeah, you can see that. I wonder if I can make it bigger though. Okay, so you should be able to see, hopefully, this number of enemies, 3, and we should see this number change. So let's try to do, so see our answer change, right? Let's submit. Alright, so we got it wrong, so now the number of enemies is 4. We got it, uh-oh. Oh. Okay, I think I know what's happening. That's the answer. We need to change this state answer to be a number. So let's check really quick. String to number in Java. No, that's not what I wanted. I don't want a number with comma. I just want a string to a number. Parse int. There we go. Parse int. For now, parse int will work. I don't think we're going to be dealing with decimals since this is a very basic math game. So let's just go with parse int. Normally, I would recommend going to Mozilla Developer Network. So that's a great resource. If you check out MDN, there's so much info on everything, and then examples. So that's usually the first thing to come up when you look up something like that. It wasn't this time, but I definitely recommend Mozilla Developer Network. So that's developer.mozilla.org. Okay. But anyway, for our purposes, for parse int, it takes 2 arguments. So the first one is whatever the string is that you're trying to turn into an integer, and then the second one is the base. So like we could do like base 16, which is like hex stuff, base 2, which is binary. In this case, we want base 10, which is the normal number system that we're using, right? So let's do that. We'll go back to our code and say parse int so our first argument is our string and our second argument is the base. Base 10 might be the default, I'm not sure, but it's not going to hurt to put 10 in there. It'll make it clear to anybody that we are using base 10, which most of the time you're probably going to use base 10. Let's save that and see if that was the issue. Alright, let's see. So number of enemies is 3. There we are. Okay, so the issue was simply that it was comparing a string to a number, and those of course are not going to be equal. Right, so even if it seemed like it was the right answer, it wasn't, because behind the scenes it was comparing 2 different types. Okay, so let's verify that the wrong answer still increases. Yep. Alright, awesome. So our logic works there. The next step would be to actually add or remove enemies on the screen. Okay. And I think I'm maybe almost, alright, 8 minutes. In about 8 minutes I'm going to go back to the chat and answer some questions. I can see there's a lot going on in the chat, so hang in there. I will get to the chat soon. Oh, we got a lot of viewers. So hey everybody, thanks for watching. So here is where we are actually adding in the enemies. So what we want to do now is add in enemies based on the value of in state of number of enemies. So now what we're going to do, we're going to drop into some JavaScript, right? So in React, inside of a component that kind of looks like HTML, this is called JSX, we can do JavaScript if we put these little curly brackets. Okay, so we're going to do this state number of enemies, and see how we'll do this. I guess I was gonna do, normally when I do this, I'm like going over an object. So, all right, this is not. Normally, I'm just like, here, take this bit of data that's an array and let's map over it, right? But that's not the case. We actually just have a number. Okay. At some point, it might be different if we have different types of enemies, but for now, let's just say we can do a for loop. Actually, now I'm confused. I don't think I've ever tried to do like a loop, just a simple loop in inside of JSX. Alright, well, let's give it a shot. I don't think you can do a for loop, though. Let's check this out. Actually, I do want to look this up. So, let's say loop in JSX. There we are. How to loop inside React. Let's go to Stack Overflow first. Let's see. Trying to do a loop. Okay, yeah, that's basically what we're trying to do. I'll make this bigger. You can't use a for loop. Yeah. You can make an array and pass that as an argument. Okay. Alright, yeah, I think we're gonna... Situation often map is a good answer. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to make an array and then maybe map over that. Oh, actually. Red arrow function, stop map. Alright, this looks interesting. Let's look into this. Alright, let's try this. The idea is we're going to use this a spread operator to basically just create an array on the fly and then map over that. I like that. I like that idea. Let's try that. Let's just copy this for now and we'll modify it as we need it. Okay. So in here, this is where we'll have this. So I guess I don't need these curly brackets because I already have them. And this is going to be this state number of enemies. We're going to map over that. I don't know why we're going to have... I don't really need X, I just need I. And if that case, I don't need these. I don't need this object row, but I would like to have this key. Okay. I'll explain what I just did here. Okay, so what I think is going to happen, we'll see, is that an array will be created with the number of elements in the array will be equal to the number of enemies. Then we'll map over that. We're going to get the index of of each one of these and add it as a key. So in React, anytime you're adding the same elements to the DOM, you need to have a key to differentiate the elements. Okay. All right. So let's see if that works. So you should be able to tell right away. Hey, cool. Number of enemies. Now we don't actually even need to do the math. We could just change it. 4. Nice. Let's see how it does when we add a bunch. Whoa, 12. Okay. So, yeah. So for right now, this is imperfect because, right, once we get high enough up there, it's just a wall of enemies. So we'll have to add in some logic to handle that. Maybe drop into like 2 rows. Like, we'll figure that out. But for now, basically, you know, this works, right? Probably the best thing to do for now would be to place a limit. Like, you know, there'll never be more than, let's say if, what, does 6 work? Yeah, so like, let's say there'll never be more than 6 enemies at once. We won't let you get above 6. Okay? And that'll be like a temporary solution to that issue. We can add this in, I guess, to add enemies. This if number of enemies. If this state number of enemies is less than 6, then we will do this. Okay. So otherwise we won't. So let's try this out again. Say like, so we could see I can never get more than 6 enemies at once. That's not bad. Realistically, like if there were a kid, you know, a young kid learning math and he kept getting the answer, he or she kept getting the answer wrong, it would be pretty discouraging if there were a ton of enemies. They'd feel like they'd never be able to win. So this is probably a reasonable thing to do anyway. Alright, cool. So the timer just went off. So I'm going to set 5-minute break here. I'm going to go back to the chat and answer as many questions as I can. Let me scroll up a bit. See where I left off. Wow, there's a lot in the chat. I'll try to do as much as I can. I don't know if I'm going to get through it all in 5 minutes, though. Alright, so Education says, hello bro, can we add native code in React Native project? Yes, you can add native. So I'm assuming you're talking about adding like native Android or iOS code, right? In that case, the answer is yes. So there are definitely ways to do that. So I mean, I would, you know, like look at the documentation for specifically how you would do that in Android or iOS. Let's see. Oh, Michael says, I know what proof of concept is, but what is MVP? MVP is minimum viable product. So sometimes you'll hear people talk about, really, a proof of concept is usually like a step before minimum viable product. So your proof of concept is just like, okay, like is this idea like even doable at all? Like we need something to show like people higher up in the organization that this actually can work. And then your minimum viable product would be what you actually launch with. So they might be like your very first version of the product. It's supposed to be like have minimum functionality, and the idea is that you would then add functionality as it becomes more popular. Oh, and I see Manas already said it, so thanks for that. And Aman put the link right in there to be able to use native code with React Native, so thank you so much, Aman. A lot of people are saying hi. I'm just going to wave and say hi to everybody because I don't want to take up too much time since we only have an hour. Let's see. Please learn programming. Ahmed says, I want to learn programming. That's awesome. Nino says, are there any free courses for game developers? I'm sure they're out there. I don't know of any good ones myself because I don't normally really do game development. But if anybody in the chat knows of any good free courses, let Nino know, please. Wallace says, I need a 3JS tutorial. Anyone here can help me? Yeah, I don't know of any tutorials in 3JS off the top of my head, but if somebody does, please put that in the chat. Manthon says, every time I open programming live stream, the first word I hear is I apologize for that. I noticed on the last stream that I was saying a lot more. I think I'm out of practice. When I used to stream pretty much every day, I don't think I was as bad. And now that I've gotten out of practice, I think I'm not communicating as well as I did before. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to try. It definitely takes mental effort to stop myself from saying it. Dragon Hunter says, I'm just getting interested in writing a React Native game using a WebView component. And boom, a live coding with Jesse. Oh, awesome. That's really cool that worked like that. Noble and Savage says, hit that like button. Awesome. So my I do have to say this. So my team at work is, I'm going to keep the story short, but like basically they claim that on one of my live streams I ended with smash that like button, fam. I never remember saying that, and they've never been able to actually show me the stream where that happened, but they always want me to actually say it. So I'm going to say it just one time to make them happy. So anybody watching right now, smash that like button, fam. All right, there I said it. Now it's official. Rabbitworks says, make your life easier and either do it fully native views or just do a React app. Building apps to run inside a WebView component is counterproductive. Yeah, actually, so Dragon Hunter was talking about doing a native game inside a WebView. Yeah, I don't think you need the WebView. Yeah, I would try to do, if you're gonna do React Native, just do React Native. Don't worry about the WebView. If you can do it. I mean, if there's some reason why you need the WebView, that's cool. Obviously, I don't know the details of the project, but I do recommend that. There are advantages to not doing the WebView. All right, I don't have any pens or anything to write with. I was gonna write down where I left off so I could find it later, but here it is. I had a cup with pens in it, and it just got knocked over. So let's see. All right. Oh, wait a second. It's not giving me timestamps? No. Toggle times. There we go. I had the timestamps turned off. Okay. Now I should be able to get right back to where I left off in the chat. So if I didn't get to your question right now, I will get to it after our next Pomodoro session. Alright, so where did we leave off at? Right now, we can add and remove enemies depending on whether or not we get the correct answer, but we still only have 2 plus 2. Next step, let's give a random math problem. For now, the constraints are we want it to be single-digit addition. So it's always going to be addition, and it's always going to be something that is 0 through 9. Okay, so that should be pretty simple, given those constraints. I just noticed Nikki says, loving the beige screen. Green screens are overrated. This is a temporary office in the corner of my basement. Those are tablecloths hanging up to make walls, so everybody gets on me for my terrible looking office. But I made a bid. I put a bid in on a house, and I think everything's going to work out, and I'm going to move. And the house will have, it has a basement that has enough space for me to build a real office in. So hopefully it'll be a little bit better of a background. I'll try to do like soundproofing and stuff and make it a legit office that I can do these YouTube streams from. Okay. Let's see how we're going to do this. Let's make some of this in state. So I guess we can just make two values in state and then set them to a random number each time, right? Okay. About 1. And let's just start out with 0. About 2. 0. And let's make random number. So we're just going to make a function that'll give us a random number. We probably don't need a random number function. I could just do this, but let's do it since we went in. We already did this. So actually, I'll just look up the syntax instead of messing it up and then looking it up. JavaScript random number. There we are. So math random. There's what I want to. I knew we'd have to do math floor. Get random int. That's basically what we want, right? It's output. All right, cool. Yeah, this is perfect. Let's just take all of this. Well, I'm just going to take this much. Okay, so our random number generator is, we're going to give it a max. And this is actually good because right now we only want like 1 through 9, but eventually we could increase the difficulty of the game by giving this a higher max, right? So then what we can do is, you know, we already have a new problem, don't we? We do. Okay, so when we go for a new problem, it could just be this dot set state. And we'll go val1 is going to be this dot random num, and we'll say max is 9, and then we'll do the same thing here for val2. Let's make sure I got that number right. If we pass in 3, okay, let's pass in 10 then. Okay. Alright, so this should give us, when you say new problem, All right, great. Now let's plug in. There's going to be a couple places we're going to need to plug in these values. So here it's going to be this state. Oops, val1 or this state val2. Okay, so now we'll actually know what the values are, the problem that comes up. And then in our UI, we also want to have the correct values. Where do we have that? So instead of hard coding 2 plus 2, we'll do this state. Oops, we got to put these in brackets here. So this state val1 and this state val2. Alright, let's try that out. We should see 0, 0 first, and this should actually be 0. Wait, did we get the wrong answer for that? Hold on a second. 0 plus 0 should equal 0, right? What? What the heck? Why did that happen? Okay, val1 is 0, val2 is 0. Our answer is going to be 0, right? Alright, we found a bug. For some reason, when the answer is 0, it doesn't work. That's not going to matter for right now. We will have to solve that eventually, like when we get to let's say I'm basically just going to skip it for now, right? Let me see if somebody... Oh, did I misspell something? Alright, sorry. Where did I misspell? Masso says I mistyped val1 and I wrote va1. Okay, let's see. Where did I do that? va1. Alright. Thank you. I'm glad I looked up there. Alright, let's test this out now. Alright, let's try 0, 0. Alright, that works now. Now, I don't want the first problem to always be 0 plus 0. So we're going to do component did mount. And on component did mount, we are going to call new problem. Right? So now we should get a random problem every time, right? So we're going to refresh, random problem, great. Let's play through the game and just to make sure that it works. So oops, you know what I just noticed? We didn't add a way for the user to press enter and for this to work. So let's do that. Oh, 3 plus 6. I'm interested to see what'll happen now. Will it go negative? Ah, we got an error. Cool. So we definitely need to make sure we can't go negative. So let's say when we go to check the answer, if it's correct, we remove the enemy, and then let's check and say if this state number of enemies equals 0, then we'll say let's say display U1. I'm just going to name the function U1 because that sounds cool, right? This dot U1. U1 is going to, for now, all it's going to do is just display states. It's going to set states, and we'll go this state 1, which will create that value. Oops, that's not what I want. We're just going to say 1 equals true. And yeah, for now that's what we'll do. So we'll say 1 equals true, and then up here let's add 1 false. Right. Anytime you have anything that's going to affect the UI at all, you probably want to keep track of it in state, because a change in state will trigger a re-render of the component, and that's what you want to change your UI. Right, so if that happens, we're going to want to display, let's see, so instead of this math container, let's just put in 1. If 1 is true, then let's put in this victory. Let's just say victory. And then otherwise, let's display this view, right? And this obviously isn't styled yet. We gotta say this state 1, right? Alright, so let's see if that works. And we can skip the actual game and just set this, right? No? Alright, let's try it again. 8 plus 1 is 9. Oh yeah, you know what, 1 is still false. Alright, I think there's something wrong with my logic here. So let me check up here. Let's see. Alright, so we're checking. So we're doing this dot remove enemy, which should take the state down, and then we're checking for if the state number of enemies is equal to 0. You know what we could do? I mean, we probably could move this, honestly, to here anyway. Okay. Alright, let's see now. 9, 14, 4. Still something wrong with it. Let me see. Shouldn't it be inside the if? Alright, let's see. Okay, Nikki said this set state is not sync. Use updated function to guarantee you get the latest value. Yeah, I was worried about that. So you think the problem then is that I'm checking state before state has had a chance to actually update? Use updater function. Nikki, what's the updater function? Let me check my time too. Alright, we got about 9 minutes. This set state, previous state equals logic. Alright, awesome. So Nikki, let me know if I'm using this wrong. Set state like this. Yep. Alright. Let's see if this works. I'm glad we set these as really easy math problems. It'd be embarrassing if I couldn't figure out the problems. No. Alright, still didn't work. Actually, we can just test to see what comes up anyway. Alright, so we did. If we can get one to signal true, then we will get this victory to come up. Okay, so it doesn't look great now, but at least that does come up. And then evidently I did this wrong. Alright, let's see. Hey, Harshit's here. How's it going? He says, well, change the number in state first. Alright. Oh, okay. This pre-state number of enemies. That one's sure the state is updated and you get the right value. Alright, let's see. Alright, let me. I'm getting a lot of advice here, so let me read this. So, Harsh is saying the syntax is wrong. You can use callback as a second parameter. This pre-state number of enemies. This will ensure the state is updated and you get the right value. Replace that first set state. Syntax is wrong. Use the second parameter. Okay. Alright. It's so many things here. Okay. So Nikki saying const and call your logic with number two enemies if that. Alright, so Nikki saying I could do const. Oops, and then Harshit has one too. Show. Michael saying start over. Number of enemies. Number of enemies on this one. Oh, I see what you're saying with the callback now. Alright, let's Alright, let's. So this set state previous number of enemies previous. Okay, so we're setting number of enemies to previous number of enemies -1, and then as our callback, then we're gonna do this stuff. right? What the heck? Unexpected character. Dang it. I think since I copied and pasted, it's giving me, it's messing me up here. What the heck? Oh, I'd have to type this out. This dot set state pre. Let me see. Brackets after work. All right. Okay. Let me just copy and paste this for now, so I'll type it all out. Let's say line 32 as the error. Alright, where's my error here? After that first previous number of enemies -1, put previous numbers -1. Okay. Alright, there we go. I spelled enemies wrong. Enemies. No, what? Now it's suggesting that spelling to me. Enemies. There we are. All right. Let's walk through this for my sake and for everybody's sake. So, so what we're doing here is saying when we go to remove the enemy, then we're gonna call this set state. We're gonna look at the previous state, and we're going to set the new state, the new number of enemies, to the previous number of enemies -1. Then, after that occurs, and it's in this callback, right? We're going to say if the number of enemies is... Why does it say less than... What the heck was I doing? If the number of enemies equals 0... then, whoa, why did I just do that? No, I copied the wrong stuff. Dang it. Alright, let me Let me go back here for a second, because I totally copied the wrong thing. Alright, so now our add enemy is here. What I wanted to do here was if the number of enemies equals 0, then I want to call U1. Okay. Alright, now let's try this. Say. Yay, I won. Victory. Alright, my timer definitely buzzed. What time is it? Yeah, okay, so that's pretty... I mean, we basically achieved what I had hoped to achieve for this one, so got a little crazy there at the end. But I'm kind of glad we went through that, because that's some cool syntax, and it's nice that I learned that and that we learned that here on the stream. Let me commit this. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to git commit with the AM flag. That means we're adding, and we're doing a git add, then a git commit with the message in line. I'm saying it's a new feature, right? And this is, we add the logic for single digit addition. I'm going to push that. Alright, cool. So that's now on GitHub. At this point, I'm going to go to the chat and try to get in as many questions as I can. And I'm also going to turn on my work laptop just to make sure that I don't have any meetings coming up. I don't think I have a meeting, but better safe than sorry, right? Okay. Okay. All right, I'm going to skip through like a lot of the discussion and kind of just focus on questions. Okay, I'm good. I don't have any meetings right now, so I can get through this. Okay, so Mayor says, hey, how can you get the output of a JS on Microsoft Studio 2019? I have no idea. So I've never used Microsoft Studio. So sorry about that. If anybody knows the answer to that question, please put it in the chat. Okay, Pavan says, which one is good for creating a Discord bot, Node.js or Python? I don't really know, because I've never created a Discord bot. If I was going to do it, I would do it in Node.js, because I know Node.js and I'm not good with Python. So that's just me. But I don't know what the official, like, if there is a best way to do it. I don't know. Like John Hansen says, the Musketeers are here for ours. Yeah, I like. So for those of you that didn't watch before, there's a couple of people that used to watch the live streams regularly. Kind of a couple months back when I was doing them pretty much every day. So it is really cool to have you all back. I missed hanging out all the time. You know. All right, so David put in a link to an edX course on game dev. So when you paste a link into the chat, it's hidden automatically. I just unhid it so you all can check that out. Let's see. Is it true? So we have a question that says, is it true if you get a certificate with freeCodeCamp, I can use it on my resume? Yeah, I mean, you do get a certificate, at least like an electronic certificate, and yeah, I would definitely put it on a resume under like certificates or education. You know, like I got a certificate for the Udacity React Nano degree program, and that is on my resume. So I would definitely put that on there. Anybody that's familiar with freeCodeCamp will know, you know, what that means. Umberto's making fun of me here. It says, looks around for paper and pencil while having a computer with notepad. That's so true. I could have just, like, I had an editor open. Why did I think I needed a notepad? Oh well. Patrick says that background makes you look like a hardcore hacker. All right, I feel better about it now. So that's a good way to look at it. Harshit says, "Oh, classes. Twitter people will say it's a crime now." Yeah. So if now that React hooks are out, they're actually not out officially yet in React Native. So I think they're going to come out. The latest I saw was either Monday or Tuesday of next week. They'll come out in a stable version, 0.59.0. But yeah, so for now, I think classes are still acceptable in React Native. But otherwise, everybody's saying just use hooks, right? And go with your functional components. I'm going to try to add in hooks as much as I can, but like realistically, I'm so used to classes at this point, it's faster for me to just use classes. John says, install a disco ball. There's not enough of that effect on coder streams at the moment. You know what I'm going to do? How about once I get enough views on my personal channel to do the like the super chat, I'll make it a thing on the super chat that, like, if you donate $5, the like disco ball will spin around and lights will go off or something. How about that? All right, John Hansen is just to give you a little bit more info about hooks. John says hooks are very simple and efficient when you realize how to get them to work. when you change a complex class component with a lot of state, props, and timing involved to a function. Getting there. Yeah, hooks look amazing. If you don't know about hooks, look up Dan Abramoff's talk introducing React hooks, and also, what's his name? Right after that talk at the same conference, someone else did a talk where they actually demoed React hooks, and I can't remember what this guy's name was. Like, I actually went to an in-person training with him, and I can't remember his name. Anyway, but that was at, what conference was that at? It was like the end of last year, maybe, or something, that it was announced. I don't know. If anybody knows what videos I'm talking about, if you put the link in the chat, I'll unhide the link. Kubi World says, what VS Code font is that? I do not know. I guess it's whatever the default font was, because I don't think I ever changed my font. The theme is called Seti, S-E-T-I. Niki says, remember the prevent default in your submit handler, though. Okay, yeah. We can... So, Niki's idea... Earlier we were talking about how right now I can't hit enter to submit. So it said, if I just make it a form, I have automatic accessibility support, but I have to remember to prevent default so it doesn't do your normal like post back on the form and refresh the page. That's a really good idea. I have to make sure though, would that work? Because like in React Native, would that work if I want to turn it into a mobile app? I'll have to double check on that. Matt says, I'm just starting off with Python. Does anyone have any advice on fun codes to learn starting off? I'm not really sure. I don't do much with Python. Niki just said, oh, does that work in React Native? So you realized that before I did. Alright. I'm going to skip a lot here because a lot of it was just that back and forth trying to figure out what syntax I should use right here. Alright, Deshmukh says, please make tutorials on React Native navigation in 2019. Okay, I'll think about that. I am gonna have to work with React Native navigation at some point, like at my real job. So I'll think about doing a tutorial like when I get into that as well. Rabbitwork says, cheers, Jesse, another fun stream. I'll be back for more. Good luck. Thanks, I appreciate it. Marion says, is the source available online? Yes, the source is available online. The link is in the description. Michael says, back in the day, there'd only be 5 or 6 of us yelling at freeCodeCamp.org. Now there's 100. Yeah, there's a lot more viewers, which is great. We were well over 100 viewers at one point. We dropped down a little bit now, but yeah, it's freeCodeCamp channel has just took off. Like, there's so many subscribers now. We have any channel for React beginners. I'm not sure. I do have my channel does have some React stuff on it. I don't know. What channel would you all suggest now for React videos? Oro says, another great stream. I have motivation overdose. Thank you, Mr. Jesse. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for watching. Alright, somebody put... no. Alright, somebody did put a link into... hold on a second. Let me put a link in to this React today and tomorrow 90% cleaner with React hooks. This is the talk that I was talking about, and unfortunately, whoa, there we go. All right, now it's coming back. I lost all the chat for a second because I clicked on the link and navigated away. Now it's coming back. It's just going to take a second to load. But anyway, I pasted that in there. I'll also show the link. M4T got the link. That is the one. Ryan Florence. There we go. The man who did the demo on React hooks, where he actually took an existing project and converted it over to using hooks, is Ryan Florence. Yeah, and he is the guy that made React Router. Nation says, can I use React for UI validation only without needing backend? You can use React only on the front end. I'm not exactly sure if that's what you're asking, but you can do just front end React. Tanya says, how many languages do we need to make a responsive website? You can make a responsive site with just HTML and CSS. If you want to do anything more complicated, though, you will need JavaScript. Somebody asked if the screen is stuck. No, probably not. I'm just not coding right now, and maybe my face was really still. Make a video of how to make a Ludo Star game. I don't know what Ludo Star is, so I'm probably not the right person to make that video. Alright, cool. So I think I've gotten through everything. If I missed your question, I'm sorry. You can put it in the comments below the video, and I'll try to answer it later. Or you can wait till the next stream and ask me. Or, feel free, anybody, if you have questions, to message me on any social media. I'm active on Twitter and Instagram mostly. The links to my social media stuff and my YouTube channel are down in the description. So I'll be back next week. Probably be back on Wednesday. I may do a GraphQL tutorial at some point this weekend on my channel. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to be using Apollo Server to wrap an existing REST API in GraphQL. So hopefully I can get that done this weekend. If you're interested, subscribe to my channel, and then you'll be notified whenever that video comes out. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Thanks for watching and helping me out, and I'll see you next week.